Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome back to the Form 5 Final Exam Practices 5. In the previous video we did variation in some parts of statistic like the box and whisker diagram, and in this video we're going to continue with the standard score that is also part of the statistics. Of course, statistic is a major part of the DSE exams, so make sure you're clear of every little detail and it's not hard to understand the whole topic. It's like the primary school we used to do the last question where you had to draw the bar chart or something like that, just the counting ones. Those are part of the statistics. Even in senior forms, statistics include a lot of things, but they are all not hard to understand. And same goes for standard score. You need to know the formula for it, and standard score only comes in part B, which means you can get some points from part B too. Okay, so standard score, we use the letter Z to represent it. So Z, standard score, equals to marks, this X is marks, minus mean over SD. Now for mean, you can use this symbol or you could use the bar X, up to you. And then with this sigma, you can represent it by the SD. Alright, for example, let's do an example first. I want to know the standard score of this person. Let's say she is Mary and her marks is 78. So we know our X, 78. What else do we know? We know the mean, so we know the bar X or this. And then we also know the SD, so we also replace this by 2.89. And then everything is just numbers here, so you can calculate it very easily. 78 minus 50. 28, and then 28 divided by this, you can do it very easily, right? But now let's do some statistic questions on our own, the DSE questions. It can be come together with the box and whisker diagram, of course. Let's see. This is question 15, that means it's a part B question. What do we have? Blah 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 blah. Susan gets the highest score while Tom gets 65 marks. And then we know that the standard score of Susan is 3 and the standard score of Tom is 0.5. So Susan performed better. Of course, she got more marks. And then I have to find the mean. So what do? I have the standard score, I have the mark. That means I can use this formula somehow, and then I might have one unknown, I might have two unknowns. If it's two unknowns, then we use the program. If it's just one unknown, just do blah blah blah, blah, do things up and down and everything, and then just find the unknown. Let's see, what do we have here? So let's do the Susan first. Do we know the standard score of Susan? Yes, 3. Do we know the marks of Susan? We know she got the highest score. So what's the highest score here? This one, 90, that's the maximum. So Susan's got 90 marks. Do we know the mean? So let's say it's bar X. Do we know the SD? So replace it by sigma. And then because there's too many fractions, so let's put unknowns on one side, numbers on the other side. So sigma first is divided here. If you go to the other side, it will be multiplied. And then the mean here is minus, so you go to the other side, it will be plus. And that's your first equation. Now what about Tom? We know the standard score of Tom. We know the marks of Tom. Do we know the mean? No. Do we know the sigma? No. Sigma goes to the other side. And then that mean also goes to the other side. Equals to 65. And so you have two equations now, right? If you have two equations, what should you use? You use your program. So after clicking the program, what do you get? So you click 3, 1, 90, 0.5, 1, and then 65. So you should be able to get your sigma first, which is 10, and then your mean as 60. So you found your answer, mean. So it's just 2 marks. 1 mark is your final answer, of course, and the other mark is either of these. That's the method mark. If you write one of them, you can already get 1 mark. If you write both of them, it's still 1 mark, of course. It's just steps. you need to have a lot more steps if you want 1 mark in section B. Section B is hard not because of the concept, but because you have to write a lot too sometimes. Of course, you don't have to write these steps. Even if you can figure out things from here, then it's okay. Alright, so you're done with part A. How about part B? What is it saying? We now know that we know the mean and the sigma already, right? In the part section B is always asking about standard score, so it has to be related. Susan claims that the standard scores, okay, of at least half of the students are negative. Let's check them. Half of the students, that means half means the middle one. So let's check the one in the middle, which is 55. If I can find their standard score, then I can know if it's at least half of them negative or not. If this is negative, then the others are also negative, like these will all be negative. So let's check. So Z is standard score. Marks will be the median one, 55, minus bar X means the mean over SD. And then 55 minus 60, you get negative 5, and then divided by 10, you get negative 0.5. So we know that, negative. If until here the people are having standard score, so that means a little more they're still having the standard score. Plus your mean is 60. So anything that's lower than 60 will have the negative number, because on your numerator it will be negative. You can do this way, or you could just directly explain to the marker that the mean is 60, which is greater than the median bracket 55. So more than half of the students in the test are negative. So I agree, right? So more than, or you could say at least half. So we agree. Easy, right? Good. Let's do next question. And then we move on to next practice. Let's finish this one first. So in a test, there is a mean. Okay, we already know the mean, 61. And then we know standard score of Albert is negative 2.6. And then Mary is 1.4. Oh, we also know a lot of things about Albert. Albert also gets 22 marks. So a student says that the range is of the whole thing is at most 59 marks. So is that true or not? Let's check. So what do we know about Albert? First of all, Albert's standard score is negative 2.6. Do we know the marks of Albert? 22. Do we know the mean of Albert? Everyone Albert is same. And then do we know the sigma? No. So we replace it to the other side. And the 22 minus 61, you get that as 39, negative 39 of course, and then divide by negative 2.6, so you get your sigma as 15. You need it because you also want to know Mary's mark. How about Mary? Do we know the standard score? 1.4. Do we know the marks? No. Do we know the SD? Mean first, and then over SD. And then this SD goes there, so 1.4 times 15, you can get 21 there. And then x plus 61, x minus 61. 61 goes there. So you can get that as 82. So we know that Albert is 22 marks. And then Mary is 82 marks. Is the range at most 59? Is it or not? We know 2 of the people having these marks. Even if it's just 2 people, what's the range of these 2 people? 82 minus 22, 60. So if this is the least and this is the maximum, the range becomes 60. It's not 59 or less. So, do you agree? So the claim is incorrect. Good. That's very good if you understand it. So that's it for the statistics part, and then I will continue practice 6, the long division and the locus equidistance, in next video. Okay, till then, bye bye. Allah Hafiz.